Hey champion guitar players! Today I show you 3 super cool and easy ways to play arpeggios on the guitar in an expressive and melodic way. Now, I love fast guitar arpeggios as much as anyone, but what's even cooler than that is being able to use short bursts of arpeggios in a melodic context. So the result is improved phrasing and more melodic arpeggio guitar licks. So here's what we're going to do. First, I'll show you the arpeggio shape we're going to base our melodic arpeggio lick on. And then we're going to add a very special note to that arpeggio. This note is a non-chord tone. In other words, it's not part of the core arpeggio. It's a dissonant pitch, but it's going to add a lot of emotion to the arpeggio lick. And then we'll finish off the phrase melodically using some expressive guitar phrasing ornaments that I'll teach you in this video. So grab your guitar and let's start having some fun. All right, so let's take a look at our first example. This is in the key of A minor, and we're going to start off with a 1-octave, 3-string A minor arpeggio. So before we play the arpeggio, we're just going to play the root. So as you see in the notation, I'm playing the note without vibrato, and then about halfway through, after about an eighth note, we add the vibrato to it. So that's called delayed vibrato. And then from that point, we're going to play the arpeggio. So that's the A minor arpeggio. And then we're going to add the G note, which is the 15th fret on the first string. Now this note is not really in the arpeggio. It's not in the A minor arpeggio. It is the minor 7th of the chord. So you could look at this as a A minor 7th arpeggio, and you would not be wrong if you called it that. But the way I'm thinking about it is we're going to play the triad, the A minor arpeggio. Then we're going to add the dissonant pitch, the G note, the flatted 7th. And we're going to let that note hang there. And again, we've got delayed vibrato here. Okay, so that note is being sustained over the A minor chord that's going to be in the backing track. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to finish this out with a series of notes that all have delayed vibrato in them. All right, so now let's hear this example over the backing track in the key of A minor. So you're hearing it sounds pretty melodic. The arpeggio itself is just a cool little flash. And then we've got our dissonant note. And then from there, we're just finishing it off with nice, easy, singable 3 notes, all that have delayed vibrato. And what we're really trying to do here is get those notes to sing. That's really what's important here. If you just play the notes and wiggle your finger around and put a little vibrato on it, that's okay. But we're trying to, or at least I'm trying to help you to mimic as much as you can the way that a singer might sing this melody. All right, so now let's look at our second example. We're going to begin on the A note on the D string. So that's 19th fret. And we're going to have some delayed vibrato here as well. So we'll play the note without vibrato. And then we'll apply vibrato just for a little bit, for an eighth note. And then we're going to go into this arpeggio here. Okay, so I'm using my first finger for all the notes on the 17th fret. Now, I'm not barring my finger. I'm not doing this. It's not the sound we're looking for here, really. So I'm using the fingertip on string 3. Then I'm rolling my finger over to use the pad of the finger on string 2. And then I'm rolling it over a little more to use higher up on the finger for the 17th fret of the high E string. So the third string is played with this part of the finger. The second string is played with this part of the finger. And the high E string is played with this part of the finger. So string 3, string 2, string 1, okay? And I'm just rolling my finger over like this, kind of rocking my arm back in order to roll through that arpeggio. And then we've got the high C note up there with the, I'm using my 4th finger here. So altogether, so far we've got this. Now that last note is a very, very cool note. It's not in the arpeggio itself. It is the 9th of an A minor chord, or of the A minor arpeggio. Okay, or you can think about it as the 2nd note of an A minor scale. It's the B note, okay? It's not in the A minor chord. And because it's not in the chord, it's dissonant by nature. It's a non-chord tone, okay? But you're going to hear it over the backing track when I play the track for you in just a moment, how sweet and expressive that sound is. Okay, so we've got the A minor arpeggio, which sounds cool over the A minor chord, okay? But then when we come down from the 3rd, the 20th fret, the 3rd of the chord, to the 9th or the 2nd of the chord, the 19th fret, the B note, it's going to sound dissonant but expressive and cool. And on that note, we're also going to be applying some delayed vibrato again. Okay, and then from there, we're playing the root. Now we're on the 2nd string, 20th fret. So that's G. It's another non-chord tone. And then we're going to bend G up to sound like A. And there we've got the E note on the 2nd string, fret 17. And then we've got the last 3 notes are D, my mistake, D, C, D. Okay, so that 19th fret is really cool because we're going to do a quick little pull off and then hit that 19th fret again. And when you do, the way I'm playing it is I'm using some very aggressive vibrato here. Okay, so it's pretty wide. You know, I'm torquing my arm over like this pretty hard to get that vibrato to be pretty quick and wide so it sounds aggressive and expressive. All right, let's hear our 2nd example over our A minor backing track. This should sound pretty cool. All right, so it's pretty aggressive there with the vibrato at the end, and the little flurry, the arpeggio in the beginning, has a sense of aggression to it as well. But really, the sweetest spot, I think at least, the most expressive spot, this right here. Okay, there's a lot of emotion there in that B note in the 9th, the note that comes right after the arpeggio. It's just a really beautiful sound, and if you play that nicely right after the arpeggio and just kind of seamlessly connect those notes together, it's very expressive, it's very melodic. It's a great way to take an arpeggio, which is cool. A minor arpeggios are cool, right? And then just add something to it right at the end that just breathes a whole new life into it. If we didn't do that and all we did was play the A minor arpeggio up and down, that would still be okay too. It's just lacking that non-chord tone. It's lacking the dissonance. It's lacking the desperation that the 9th creates over a minor chord. All right, I'm going to play the 3rd example with the backing track, and then I'll stop and we'll break it down and I'll teach you how to do it. All right, so what we have here is an A minor arpeggio, descending, but the arpeggio is broken up with a note that's added to it that doesn't belong to the A minor arpeggio. So the arpeggio itself is the first note you see, the 12th fret, Then skip the second note for now and just go to the 8th fret and then the last note. Those are the notes of the A minor arpeggio, A, C, and E. But we've got a couple of D notes in there. So there's one here on the 10th fret, that note right there. And then we've got another one, that note right there. Okay, those are D notes, and the D note is the 11th of an A minor chord, okay, or an arpeggio. So they don't belong to our A minor triad, but they sound cool because they're adding tension. This D note in particular, it is the note that pushes us forward into the final C note. Now, in the notation and the tablature, it looks like what we're supposed to do is play the 9th fret, the E note, and do a slide down to D, and then do another slide down to C. That's just a limitation of the software program that I'm using. We're not really going to play it that way, or at least I didn't play it that way. So let me show you what we're doing. We're starting on the first note, holding it out with vibrato. Then the next notes are straight. Now once we get to here, to get from here to here, the 9th fret to the 7th fret, I'm doing this. 2 big descending slides, okay, to get that sort of phrasing. So it's not this. I mean, that's okay too, but I'm just doing a big descending slide to the D note and then to the C note. Now, if you're wondering, well, where do you start the slide? Which fret do you start on? The answer is it doesn't matter. Any note up here is fine, okay? If I play this lick 10 times, I may not start on the same note, you know, in the same place twice, okay? It doesn't really matter. What does matter is that we have this, that little jerky slide that adds a lot to the expression. All right, now let's hear all 3 licks combined. I'm just going to sort of connect them together and improvise a little bit, play around with them and see what happens. Okay, so a little goofing around there, a little fun there. But the point is that when you're playing the licks together, sometimes to connect them, you can go directly from one lick to another, and that's fine. Other times it's cool just to stop. Just play the lick, pause, take a breath here, and then go into the next lick or the next arpeggio phrase, and that sometimes works best too. Other times you might feel like you want to add another 2 or 3 or 4 notes to the end of the lick, sort of as to continue the lick, or maybe as a transition from one arpeggio phrase to another. And that's all cool too. We're just playing around here, trying to apply and use the licks in expressive, artistic, cool ways. Now, before we wrap this video up, let me ask you a question. Doesn't it drive you crazy when the songs or guitar solos or exercises that you play on guitar sound good on one day, but might sound not so good the next day? Now, we've all had this problem, and it's super frustrating when you can't really rely on your guitar skills to be consistent and dependable in every situation. So, for example, when you're trying to record yourself, or maybe you're jamming with your friends, or other people are watching you play or whatever, it's in those situations when you really want your playing to be at its best. But that's usually the time when your playing tends to fall apart, at least a little bit, and maybe you're not able to show people what you can really do. So fortunately, it's simple to solve this problem by training the consistency of your guitar playing. Now, There are little known but proven effective guitar practice strategies that you can use to close the gap between how well you can play on your best days and how poorly you might play on your worst days, so that you can finally play your best when it matters the most. So you can download my new free guide to playing guitar accurately, consistently, and reliably, even on your worst day. So click on the link below to download your copy right now. It's totally free. Do it now.